little while back, I posted a video of the things I don't do as a gym girl, and you guys requested that I do the opposite, my non-negotiables as a gym girl, which I'm gonna take you through today, rapid fire, hopefully, because my brain is operating on 1% energy, and who knows what I'll be spewing out with this 1% energy. So let's get into it. Starting off hot, I get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep. It's very rare that I'll go less than that, and oftentimes it's very rare that I get more than that. So I'd say 7 hours is the sweet spot for me, and I try to keep consistent with the time that I go to sleep and I wake up, because I've heard that that's more important than the actual hours of sleep, and with that contributing to the quality of sleep that you get. So I try to go to sleep around like 10:30, wake up for... That's wrong maths. 5:30? That's wrong maths.
Yeah, that ain't it, cuz.
What time do we go to sleep? 11, wake up at 6:30-ish? I did the math wrong. Okay, never mind, rewind that. It's very rare that I get more than 8 hours or less than 8 hours. My sweet spot is actually 8 hours of sleep a night, and I try to keep consistent, so I go to sleep around like 11 o'clock, and then I wake up for around 6:37. Hopefully that math checks out. Next one. I'm sweating. Are you hot? Must be the pressure of the lights and the cameras on me. Fun fact, whenever you guys come meet me at like lift events, Gymshark lift events, or any meet and greets, and you guys ask me for some advice when you first start in the gym, or if you just want to keep consistent, my number one advice is creating a weekly workout split based on your goals. So for me, I try to focus more of my intensity and my weekly split on my lower body. So if you guys haven't checked out my weekly split, I made a whole video about this. I'll link it somewhere here. So if you're creating a split and you're kind of lost of how to do it, you want to focus on, first of all, what is your goal? Are you trying to grow your lower body or your upper body, or are you just trying to maintain some sort of balance? So say, for example, you want to focus on growing your lower body. I would say focus on 2 to 3 days of the week on the lower body, whether that's breaking it up with glutes and hamstrings, quads and calves, lower body generally. You want to focus 2 or 3 days of your week on the lower body, and then upper body, I would say 1 or 2 days a week, depending on how many days is suitable for your schedule. Going into my next point, I keep track of my progress in the gym, and that means keeping track of the weight that I use, the reps and sets that I do. The reason why that's so important, I'd say it's a crucial step in muscle growth, is because if you're trying to build your muscle, you're trying to grow your muscle, you want to implement what is called progressive overload, which is slowly increasing and gradually increasing the weights that you use with every single workout. For example, if I'm doing split squats and I'm starting off with 5 pounds each arm, I wanna do that, assess how that feels, and then maybe the next session I'll try to implement 10 pounds each arm. Try to slowly improve with every session, but obviously listening to your body. And the key part of this is tracking all of that, so you know, how did I do last week, instead of kind of guessing and being like, where am I now? You want to have a clear track to progress, and the way that I've been doing that is by keeping track of every single thing that I do in the gym using a particular platform that you'll see very soon. Let's keep it to that. Okay. Next up, with my nutrition, I focus mostly on fueling my body and not restricting. So with that comes intuitive eating. I talked about this a little bit on the things I don't do as a gym girl video, where I don't calorie track. I did at one point in my journey, but I don't anymore because it just didn't work for me mentally. So what I've been doing for probably majority of my fitness journey is intuitively eating, which is just focusing on what my body needs. If I'm hungry, then I'll look at the fridge, see if I can grasp a protein source. And that's a good way to indicate if it's just like a craving or if it's something my body actually needs. Because if I'll go into the fridge and I look at something and I'm like, do I want this apple? No, I'd rather have like the chocolate bar that's in the fridge. That's how I know it's a craving. So that's how I focus on what my body needs. So if I'm hungry, I'll get a protein source, satiate myself that way. But then there's always the 80-20 rule where I won't restrict myself, because I just feel like life is too short not to enjoy those little moments, whether it's going out with friends and having dinner out or having a sweet treat at the end of the night. I will always implement those things and just make sure that the majority of my day, the majority of my week is focusing on whole, nutritious, high protein foods that will nourish my gains, nourish my progress, while also making sure there's a little bit of flexibility to that. Next up, I will not enter the gym without lifting straps. A lot of people, I feel like there's some controversy with this. A lot of people feel like you should be focusing on your grip strength and you shouldn't be using wrist straps as often as I maybe do. I just find that if I'm not trying to focus on my grip strength with that exercise, and the importance for me is focusing on that muscle group in that exercise, I'm gonna use lifting straps so that my mind muscle connection is focused on that muscle instead of what my grip is holding on to. Also, your grip strength is not gonna be as strong as, for example, your legs. So you don't wanna limit the growth in your legs and the strength in your legs based on what your grip strength can handle. So if you're thinking about investing in some lifting straps, definitely do so, because I just think that's when your gains will be taken to the next level. Dynamic routines and warm-up routines were one of those things that I always skipped when I first started in the gym. I wanna say for the first 2 years of my fitness journey, I did not warm up. I warmed up maybe like a handful of times, which is not good whatsoever. And I'm telling you right now, your girl was feeling it by the 3rd year. I was probably feeling it the 2nd year, but just didn't wanna, take the extra 15 to 20 minutes to warm up, which I should have, because what did it lead to? A lot of back pain, a lot of hip pain, and my left hamstring has not been the same ever since. The biggest thing that I have started implementing is a proper dynamic and warm-up routine, and it's not as simple as just doing like a couple lunges or like some body weight squats before going into the barbell squat. It is legit movements on the ground where you are just like getting into child pose, cobra stretch, world's greatest stretch. There's so many good ones that I've been implementing, and I will not skip out, because when I do, I regret it almost every single time. I also find that mind muscle connection is way better when I'm warmed up going into an exercise, because if I'm stiff and I'm cooled, like I'm not warmed up, I'm not able to reach a great range of motion. The stretch doesn't feel the same. Mind muscle connection is just not there. So warming up has been a priority for me. It should be a priority for you. I promise you, if you are not warming up right now, start implementing it, because later down the road, you are going to regret making those decisions. Limiting phone use during my workouts. I used to be notorious for just like mindlessly, oh, let me check this email, or let me just check this DM real quick. And then I'm on my phone for 10 minutes. I've lost the warm up. My sweat is gone. I'm cooling down. It is the worst feeling. And I always leave the gym feeling like I had a bad workout. The best workouts have been when I've tossed my phone into my bag, put on Do Not Disturb, put my headphones in, listen to music, not even change the song, like just focus and put all my energy, all my focus on the exercises that I'm doing. That is the absolute best workout I've ever had, and also the quickest, because you're not like getting distracted by a billion things or just feeling all over the place. You're literally focused one after another, set after set after set after set. Like, you don't stop, Obviously there's rest periods, but like, you don't stop. You just focus, get it done, and leave. Upper body days are an absolute must for me. I know a lot of people are scared of becoming too bulky, especially us women. We feel the biggest fear is to become too bulky, too manly, too big. That was something that I feared for a very long time at the beginning of my fitness journey. And I'm telling you right now, just based on lower body growth, it takes so much effort, so much weight, so much focus and planning to grow muscle. Just based on my lower body progress, it's taken me years to get where I am today. I don't put as much effort as I do on my lower body days compared to my upper body days. Like, I push way more weight on my lower body days because that's where I'm trying to focus most of my muscle growth on. But I always try to implement some sort of upper body days, which I do a push day 1 day a week and a pull day 1 day a week, as well as obviously core training involved in that. For me, the biggest thing is focusing most of my weight, most of my energy, most of my drive on my lower body days. Upper body days, I will never skip, but I just won't push as heavy weight unless I'm trying to build that muscle, like my back. I've been trying to build that muscle for quite some time. I'm at a good point where I can just maintain the same weight, and I'm sticking with that just so I don't grow way too much muscle where it throws off my physique. But yeah, don't be scared of upper body days, guys. It takes so long to build that muscle. Investing in a good supplement brand has been one of the top game changers for me in my fitness journey. I've tried a lot of different protein powders, a lot of different greens, a lot of different just vitamins from different brands. And every single time I have tried those things, I've always felt lethargic. I've always felt down and out. I've always felt like it was working against my fitness journey. It wasn't until I started paying attention to the ingredients that were actually in those supplements where it started to make a difference. When Transparent Labs reached out to me, it was a no-brainer because just taking one glance at the ingredients list on every single supplement, they care so much about what is in their brand, how they can help every single person enhance their fitness journey or their overall well-being. Their biggest focus is bringing you the best of the best without any artificial sweeteners, coloring, or preservatives, and just making sure that you're able to recognize everything that is on this label. Trying to keep it as minimal as possible. So for me, one of the biggest things that I've been focusing on with my supplements, I've been implementing protein powder. As you guys know, love these protein powders. Like literally every single one tastes phenomenal. If you are, for example, a milk chocolate fiend, definitely try the milk chocolate one because the flavor is so identical to what you expect it to be. Right now, my top favorites have to be milk chocolate, Neapolitan, mint chocolate is honestly up there, oatmeal chocolate chip, and strawberry milkshake, top tier. Protein powders are locked in. Love these guys. Then we got my prebiotic greens for that dietary fiber first thing in the morning. I take 1 scoop every single morning. Hydrate is a big one for a lot of you guys who have been here for quite some time. You know that I came out with my own flavor with Transparent Labs, cherry watermelon. That's probably my favorite flavor to date, but Hydrate is an absolute must for me. This is the only reason that I'm able to drink as much water as I do in a day because it tastes phenomenal, but it also gives you the electrolytes that you need throughout the day, especially if you're working out or you're sweating or you're a hard worker, just you need those extra electrolytes to keep you going. So definitely this is a must for me. Collagen is something that I always take, I'd say like maybe 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 days of the week, 1 scoop. Love the chocolate flavor. They also have an unflavored if you're not a fan of flavor and you'd rather just put it in without you, in like a shake or something without you really knowing about it. This is great for your skin health, your nail health, your hair health. So many great benefits from collagen. On top of my greens in the morning, I take multivitamins and omega-3s. These are great just for overall health and well-being. This brand is absolutely phenomenal. If you are interested in trying any of the supplements that I've mentioned or any supplements on their website, feel free to use code Deanna at checkout. It will give you 10% off. 100% believe in this brand, 100% believe in the importance of keeping clean with your supplements to help you in and outside of the gym. Training till failure or training close to failure. I touched on this in the last video. I also touched on this in a bunch of TikToks, but training till failure has been one of the most important things that I've ever implemented into my fitness journey, and it's one of the reasons why I've been able to grow muscle in the way that I have. Training close to failure, you have to put your muscles under a certain amount of strain in order for them to grow. What I've been doing is for a majority of my exercises, I go until failure, but I group it up into 2 different categories. Training close to failure and training with a couple reps in reserve. There are some exercises where I am comfortable training to failure. Most of the times they tend to be machine exercises where my body is stabilized and all I have to do is focus on pushing that weight. So that'll include stuff like leg press, quad extensions, Smith machine hip thrusts. And then there's exercises where I don't feel comfortable pushing to failure because of the positioning of my body. Oftentimes this will include non-machine exercises like split squats, reverse lunges, step ups, where I'm not being supported by a machine. So there's a bigger chance of me losing stability when I get more fatigued or losing form when I become weaker throughout the exercise. So with these exercises, these non-machine exercises, I will probably keep around like 2 or 3 reps in reserve where I go close to failure, but I don't go all the way to failure, just to make sure that I don't get injured. I keep my body as safe as possible with these exercises. I talked about this before, but incorporating protein into every single meal. This is another question that I get asked a lot at meet and greets, is how do you keep up with your nutrition? What's a good rule of thumb? My best advice is to incorporate at least one protein source in every single meal, because not only will this help you reach your protein goal, but it will also help you keep satiated throughout the day so that you're not overly consuming calories or that you're not overly snacking, especially if you're a snacky person, which I am. So I gotta make sure that I'm keeping up with my protein so I feel full enough that I don't overindulge in those snacks that tend to be higher calories. So for example, you could do tuna, shrimp, some sort of other fish. Ground beef is a big one here. Chicken breasts, chicken thighs, ground turkey I've been implementing. Love that. Ground chicken. There's so much that you can do. Eggs in the morning, awesome. Yogurt, like there's so many things that you could implement into every single meal to make sure that you're getting whole foods, high protein, and it keeps you full. Cardio is an absolute must for me. And it's not that I'm overdoing it with the cardio, it's really just based on what I feel that day, to be completely honest with you, which tends to be a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes. Very rare that I'll go over that. It's just if I feel like super energized that day and I just really want to sweat, then I'll do that, but that's very rare. For the most part, I try to keep to 15 to 20 minutes for the cardiovascular health, because while weight training is great for your cardiovascular system, you also want to make sure you're doing other forms of cardio like walking, sprinting, jogging, Stairmaster, bike, anything to keep your body going, your heart pumping, and yeah. Active rest days are a big one for me, and it's not necessarily like doing yoga or Pilates on a rest day. For me, that just means getting out of the condo, because the worst thing I find for me and my mental space is just being stuck in the condo all day and just rotting on the couch doing nothing. So a big one for me, especially since Sundays and Thursdays are my go-to rest days, I always make them active in some way, whether that's going for a walk, getting out of the house, going grocery shopping, something where I'm out of the house and just moving my body so that I just don't feel trapped and that rest days are just so mundane, you know? Now this is one that I know a lot of you guys have been following and that I have been following for a very, very long time. Following the plan and not the mood. And this is why creating your weekly schedule is probably the most important part of your fitness journey, because that is the plan. When you have that plan set in motion, nothing can stop you from achieving that plan. And obviously there is a difference between feeling super exhausted and your body needs some rest, especially if you're sick, especially if you're overworked. There is a difference between feeling fatigued and you can't follow the plan versus just being lazy, not being in the mood, letting your emotions override your actions, and just coming up with every excuse not to go to the gym. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Not the exhausted part, I'm talking about the mood. If you find that your mood is consuming your day-to-day actions and you can't follow a plan for the life of you, you can't keep consistent, you can't, keep up with your gym schedule, and you're just letting your mood override your whole life, I'm telling you, following the plan and not the mood has been a game changer for me, and it is the reason why I am honestly at a better mental health state and why I'm able to keep so consistent and disciplined in the gym. When I follow the plan, I'm proving to myself that I'm capable of following through with the things that I said I'm gonna do. And that is building trust with yourself. So not only will you see the physical progress of being consistent every single day in the gym or being active somewhere else, but you'll also tell yourself that you are worthy enough to follow the plan and you're able to do the things that you set out to do. It's insane to think how much you can achieve with just following the plan, and this goes outside of the gym. Like if you wanted to start a business or you wanted to start an activity that you're kind of scared of doing and you've let your fear just override that situation and stop you from doing it, the day that you just follow the plan, you put in the schedule, I'm gonna try yoga today, and you go to try yoga, the absolute mind shift from trying that new thing and putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations is mind-blowing. The amount of strength that you will build from those areas where you feel a little bit insecure about something, you're unsure, you feel a little bit vulnerable or inexperienced. The times that you push yourself beyond those feelings is where your true strength and your growth will develop. And that is a wrap on my non-negotiables as a gym girl. If you liked this series and you want to see a little bit more of the things that I don't do as a gym girl or my non-negotiables, let me know down in the comments and I will create a part 2 for those, because I definitely have a bunch more to share with you. But of course, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on all social media platforms. But until the next video, love you so much. I'll see you. Bye.